Hi guys, welcome to Polyphonic Tarot. Today we're going to be doing a Celtic Cross reading for a client who would like to know whether or not she should take a retirement opportunity presented to her at work. So we're going to be doing a Celtic Cross reading for her today, and as always I hope it helps and that it's accurate and all that good stuff. So I already shuffled the deck, as I already showed you guys, but the bottom of the deck is the Knight of Wands. You guys know I like to check what that card is. And we're going to start. I'm going to actually, for this reading, because I started reading, or I should say rereading, parts of Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. If any of you have read that book, great book. And she does the clockwise method of laying the cross. And just for the sake of experimentation, I'd like to do the method that she has in her book for this deck. And I'll just it's basically the same thing. So we're going to start on the bottom instead of the top. And this is excuse me, I'm not going to start at the bottom. I'm going to start in the middle. I don't know what I'm thinking. Overall situation is the Four of Wands. And crossing you is the Princess of Wands. And we go to the bottom. Yikes. Bottom is the Star, which is promising. And in the past you have the Knight of Discs. Now, a possible outcome, which is how she reads the top card, is the Four of Swords, which seems to be what we want here. And in the immediate future, the next influence coming in is the Priestess. And then up the side, we have your perspective on things, your attitude towards the situation is the Six of Cups. External factors or outside things influencing your opinion of the situation. Seven of Pentacles, Seven of Discs. Your hopes and fears are represented by the Princess of Cups. And the overall outcome is the Knight of Swords. Okay. You've got a lot of knights. It seems like you've got one knight in your past who's going away, who's no longer as big of an influence on the situation, but in the overall outcome you still have one coming in who's a lot tougher than the one that you're leaving behind, or the one who's, I shouldn't say the one you're leaving behind, the one that has less influence. I guess I should just start from the beginning. The Four of Wands is your overall situation, which would represent, in this case, I think, a sense of finality, feeling that your work is accomplished, feeling like you have done your time, so to speak, that you've done enough, and you just are feeling accomplished and successful at the moment. And like something is to an extent coming to an end. Or is in the process of coming to an end. And I think I don't see the Princess of Wands quite so much as an obstacle. I really think that it's more of a supporting detail of that central card, the Four of Wands. And I think that this is just showing this as an opportunity for you to branch out and have more freedom in your life again, and to regain kind of a sense of youth too. The Princess of Wands is not only youthful, being a princess, but her energy in particular, both her and the Princess of Cups, which you also have, are probably the most youthful feeling of all the princesses. You know, they sort of get more mature and more sensible as we go down the suits. So the Princess of Wands has a very young energy, as does the Princess of Cups. And the Princess of Cups does represent your hopes and fears, what your aims are, basically, what your goals are. Which in this case, being the Princess of Cups, just to kind of jump there since we're talking about it, would be, I guess, to have more opportunity to express yourself, to enjoy yourself more, to kind of relax and maybe pursue more artistic things, or just more, I guess, kind of spiritual, or just I get artistic from it, or just more fun. I think that's in general what you're looking forward to if you get the chance to retire. And as you have had the chance to retire, that is certainly a possible outcome here. We do have, just to jump there, the Four of Swords in your possible outcome. I usually read that position as like the best possible outcome, and I think in this case that holds true. I do think that the Four of Swords would then certainly indicate that this is an opportunity for you to rest and to kind of just put things back in order and clean up and close shop, so to speak. I think the Four of Swords is very indicative of retirement, and I'm trying to see if it has any other connections. It does connect a little bit to the star, just both being air. You have 3 air cards in your spread, 2 and 3. Your outcome, the Knight of Swords. Sorry, you can't really see it, but the Knight of Swords is also air, of course. So those 3 cards are kind of connected on some level. But anywho, the basis of the situation being the star is indicative of this just feeling like a very important opportunity, that a lot of options have been opened up for you, and you just feel very hopeful about this opportunity and optimistic about this opportunity to retire. And I think that that's a really good hunch. I get the sense that you feel you're starting to feel intuitively that this is time to retire, that this is the universe telling you that it's okay to do it now. And I think that you might be onto something there. I do. Just because the star does connect to your four of swords there. So this opportunity is it kind of looks really glittery and shiny in a way, being the star. It seems like almost an opportunity that's kind of otherworldly, like you didn't expect it to happen. But oddly enough, this opportunity has been presented to you, and perhaps you've been unsure of whether or not to take it, because in the past, your influence being the Knight of Discs in the past, which is starting to fade away, is this very practical sensibility and a very down-to-earth perspective, and a very kind of nose to the grindstone a little bit, just very focused on being practical and kind of steadfast in your career and just sticking to it, even though it might not necessarily inspire you or anything. Because there are aspects of that as well. The physical aspects of this reading, which are, of course represented by the Earth cards, of which you have 2. You have the Knight of Discs and you have the Seven of Discs. Both of those are very boring cards. They're very dull. So the physical, like the day-to-day aspect of this situation is very heavy and boring. So, you just feel like your job has run its course, I think. And I think you also feel... you just feel like you've done everything that you could do. That you've finished your work, and you're ready to move on. And I think that's also why you are starting to feel more strongly intuitively that it's time for some kind of change for you, some kind of better period of rest, because you've worked hard. I think that's pretty clear here based on those 2 Earth cards. You have worked hard, and I think it would be nice for you to reincorporate some more buoyant energy in your life, some more youthful energy. And just the Priestess kind of being the last card in the central section that we haven't talked about. The Priestess is what I've been talking about as far as developing a better intuitive sense of feeling like this is definitely something you should be doing. And I think that that's all pretty self-explanatory. She is sort of connected to the star just through symbolism, and also to a small degree all the princesses you have. I think it's interesting that you have the 2 princesses and the star and the priestess all kind of clumped together. Not really clumped, but they're in this nice little zigzag, which is cool, because all of those are very good feminine symbols. Because of course, with the feminine, you get especially in this deck, Crowley being Crowley, you got a mixed bunch of symbols for femininity. But those are all very good. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. I don't know that it really means anything, other than the fact that I just feel like there's very good juju in this reading, to use the technical term. I just get a good vibe from this reading because of that priestess, because there's that foundational rock of faith that she represents here, and that in any situation, one of her traditional meanings is a benevolent influence affecting the situation, and I really get that here. So I think you're on the right track with that. I do think that it would be a good time to retire. I do. The overall outcome is interesting to me because it is the Knight of Swords, and I don't know. I think that the Knight of Swords is a little tricky for me, but it represents that some kind of influence is in the long run going to shake you up a bit. It's going to kind of ruffle your feathers. Either it's going to come in the form of like some kind of shocking news or some kind of confrontation or something, but the Knight of Swords is just such an aggressive energy, and it is connected to the Star and the Four of Swords. And my sense is saying that this is a good time to retire because you need to prepare for whatever that is that's coming your way that is going to kind of unsettle you. So that you are situated and more, I guess, ready to take that on. I think that now is the time. You should do it sooner rather than later. That's what I feel for that. Because it isn't really connected to a whole lot else, other than the Knight of Discs. The Knight of Discs is sort of connected to that, just both being knights, but they're so different from each other. One is so much more impulsive than the other, and so much more aggressive. The Knight of Discs is very, very docile. Doesn't really bother anyone unless you bother him. In which case he can get kind of angry and violent, but it takes a lot to get him mad. The Knight of Swords, on the other hand, is very like turn on a dime type. So again, I think that just I don't. It could be a specific person in your life that I think it will be a transitory influence, but it's one nonetheless, and it's relevant enough here for it to mention it. But someone or some kind of news is going to disrupt you. And it seems to me that the better choice is to try to stabilize yourself and get your stuff wrapped up now. Okay? And that's sort of it. This reading is pretty self-explanatory. As far as you also have, you have a little bit of Saturn with the Seven of Discs, which again, to reiterate, Seven of Discs was about external influences and is about sort of feeling like your job is very heavy and repetitive, and that you aren't really getting much farther with it. I think that's also important to emphasize about the Seven. The Seven always feels like it's not really getting anywhere. The Seven feels like you're just trying the same things over and over again and having very limited success. And I just feel like you don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. I don't think you feel necessarily like, the work you've done is meaningless or anything like that. I just think that you feel like you've done enough of it and that you're ready for some time to yourself and some time to explore things that you haven't had the time to explore in the past, because you've been so preoccupied with work. So I think your inclination to sort of ignore the part of you that wants to be as practical as possible, because now is not necessary. You don't really need to anymore, I don't think. I just think that now is a good time. Now this is interesting. I forgot all about this card. The Six of Cups is your perspective on the situation, and it does connect, interestingly enough, to the Priestess and the Princess of Cups. The meaning of the Six of Cups here is about the fact that you I want to say that that just speaks to how you do enjoy what you do. I don't know. I think the six has a really interesting connotation to it because it always has to do with a kind of either sexualization or nostalgia. And in this case, since it probably is not really a sexual thing, uh, it's either some kind of really pure happiness or a kind of rejoining with something that you used to have, or that is reminiscent of another time. So, so I think that that could possibly just have to do with the Princess of Wands bit that we're feeling in the middle of this reading here, about having an opportunity to do other things. Either that's to do things that you used to do. Maybe that's all that this is saying, is that you're looking forward to doing things that you used to do but have again have not had time to do. um, or I don't know. There's also that Princess of Cups bit too, which is kind of curious, and all of them connect back to the Priestess, or all of the water cards, I should say, to that developing sense of intuition. So I don't know if possibly one of the things that you are, looking to, if and when you retire, if what you're looking to do is expand on your own spirituality or anything, or um, taking up some kind of meditative practice or anything like that. But I don't know. I think that there is kind of a growing pull within you to be a little more spiritual, or a little bit more, just a bit more self-aware. That's kind of what I feel here, because there is a kind of joy that you have that is connected to that intuitive side of you. Um, and possibly that intuitive side of you is something that you ignored for a while. Maybe that's why it sort of feels like a reunion of sorts. Um, because maybe you have not been listening to your intuition for a long time, because you've been so preoccupied with work and you've wanted to do what's practical, and the intuition is not always practical. I can tell you that. So that could also have something to do with this. That's actually kind of interesting. That's an interesting connection. And it's just also kind of cemented by the fact that those two cards are so opposite from each other. The Knight of Discs is totally not intuitive at all in any way, shape, or form. And the Priestess obviously is entirely intuition and stillness and listening. She's sort of the ultimate observer. Yeah. I want to say that's about it. Just looking if there are any other patterns or anything that I missed. Um, it's a pretty well balanced reading. I think overall this is just a good reading, and it's just giving you the affirmative for retirement. So I say go for it. Of course, my disclaimer is, of course, you make all your own decisions, and I am just a humble tarot reader here. But according to what I see, it does seem to indicate that retirement would not be a bad idea right now. That this is a worthwhile opportunity to at least seriously consider. Okay, so I hope that this helps, and I certainly wish you the best of luck with your decision. I really hope it works out for you, and gives you some space again to kind of do some new stuff here. All right, so thank you very much again for your purchase and for your patience as well. My concert season is finally over. Thank God. Thank God. Now I just got to get through Christmas. So happy holidays to you and yours, and wish you the best of luck. Thanks again.